reacting incentives. And if you understand why, quite often you get people, and may I tell one of the stories that's in the book. For instance, I was sitting on the banks of the Tanganyika Lake. It is the most amazing place after maybe the Baikal Lake, and in the northern part of Zambia. And there I met a woman there, and her husband was working for a Norwegian aid organization. And she told me the story that they got word of people dying, and they sent somebody and they tested the rivers, and people were dying of cholera. And the answer of this aid organization is to send people over and to donate these lids that they put over the wells. So you pay people to dig a well, and they put these lids over the well with a chain and a bucket and so on to use the underground water that's not contaminated with cholera. And it worked fine. And all of a sudden nobody got cholera anymore. And then they all went back to Norway. And then one day they got a fax, it was time fax still, that people are getting sick. And they sent somebody back, and yes, indeed, one of the wells was contaminated with cholera. Because what happened, the well was the only thing there, and everybody moved around the well, and eventually the pressure polluted the underground water as well. And they said, no problem, we will dig 2 more wells, and we'll pay you and all that, and we give you 2 new lids and all that. And they did that, and everybody happy. They just got back when the faxes started coming in. People are dying, and people are dying. They sent, and just about all the wells were polluted or contaminated by cholera. So what's going on here? And it took me some time to figure out what's going on. The incentives are wrong. The incentive is, I must have a sick child, because then somebody will come and pay me money to dig a well. The incentive should have been, I get a healthy child, and then, you have to turn the incentive around. And that is, and then one day it hit me. They simply reacted to incentive. They wanted jobs. And one way of getting a job is to intentionally pollute your own well. That's the story of people reacting to incentives. So in real life, there are so many incentives today in South Africa. Like, for example, if you levy an additional levy on import of chicken, for example, the incentive for that industry will be to keep that levy intact as long as possible. That's their incentive. Their incentive is not to become lean and mean and to become really productive and innovative. Their incentive is to keep on lobbying the politicians to maybe increase. They can't increase it more than 81% because that's a World Trade Organization maximum limit. But they will certainly make sure that the incentive, that import levy remains. People react to incentives. And if you see stupid things like people polluting their own wells, then you must know there's a stupid incentive behind that.
This, I can't help but hear you making many observations in there about South Africa's social welfare system.
That's a difficult one. Because all sort of reasons in South Africa, I mean, we've got a history, we've got very many poor people, we've got high levels of unemployment. So obviously you can't let people die of hunger. I mean, you can't do that. Now, even a free marketeer like myself won't let people die of hunger. But I think what we need to know and what we have to realize is that a good social security system is a system with fewer people on it, and not more. And what we have today is just not sustainable anymore. We have 17 million people receiving grants in today. We've got 1 million personal income taxpayers that pay 80% of personal income taxes. We can't go on like this, people. We have to realize this. And we have to, and the only solution to this, the only long-term solution, is to do something to get this economy to grow. And there are so many things that we can do to get this economy growing. I've got a lot of things to say about taxes, about education, for instance. I think our education system, the biggest waste of money in South Africa is education. We spend 280 billion rand on education. If we stop education expenditure for 1 year, we will save 28 billion rand per year every year. We will be able to build these Gauteng roads every year, a new set of Gauteng roads. And you know, we produce matrics, 70% of them after a year won't have a job. The quality of education in South Africa is not bad, it's quite often the worst in the world. And it's not because of money.
Because this is our biggest budget item, isn't it?
It is the biggest expenditure item. And then the second one will be tax, interest on state debt, but that's going to be the biggest one pretty soon. Because, so those are the sort of issues that we have to...
So just help me understand that. You're saying that we should stop spending on...
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if we should stop spending, we can't do that in practice, of course. I'm just saying the cost...
But then what are we going to do? We're going to keep on with this ineffective, mindless...
What is wrong with education? Again, you have to understand the incentives behind it. I think, of course, there are four major role players in education. In economics, there's something wonderful. It's called game theory. And I think you all know about game theory. The prisoner dilemma is an excellent example of game theory. You catch two guys, you put them in different cells, and you tell this guy, listen, if you split on that guy, we'll let you go, and vice versa. And so on. Obviously, there's an incentive to split on your buddy. Okay, that's game theory. Now, we've got the same situation in South Africa. Education is where it is today because it's good. We all want it to be where it is. Because the kids do not want to have a better education. I was at school, I never wanted to go to school. I hardly ever was in school in my final years. But anyway, so the kids don't want to go to school. And anyway, why work hard? Because you're going to pass in any event. And if you pass well, you're not going to get a job. There's no incentive for a kid to want better education. Teachers don't want to change the system because they're overpaid. They're very well remunerated. They don't have to go to school either that much. And, you know, all sort of other fringe benefits if you're a teacher. The politicians don't want to change this because SATU is a member of COSATU, which is part of government. And they make for easy, overpaid civil servants make for easy votes. So everybody has got an incentive to keep the system as is. So we must break this relationship. It's a cozy, nice relationship. I don't know how to break, but the solution, or maybe a question or a solution could be, why not give the kids, the prisoner's dilemma, give them an incentive. Tell them, listen, I give you 10,000 rand if you get a distinction in maths or science or whatever the case may be. And then you're going to see these kids marching because they don't have books. Or because the tutors are not at the school or whatever the case may be. You have to break this cozy relationship. And I think that's a solution, or part of the solution. Of course, there are other things like privatizing and all that. We know there are arguments about that as well.